They have a limited number of pre-draft visits, and they have decided to use one of their 30 on quarterback C.J. Stroud, Ohio State. Now, I asked the question, and the way this phrase is used is always with a tinge of skepticism or criticism when you say, what are they doing? But I'm kind of legitimately, in a non-critical way, asking, okay, what are they doing here? Like, it doesn't feel possible that C.J. Stroud will be on the board at 6, but I suppose it is possible. Are they seriously considering moving up for C.J. Stroud? Or, and it's just interesting to me because yesterday you made the comment that you don't believe in pre-draft visits being smokescreens. And I'm trying to decide if I agree with that. And even if it is a smokescreen, is C.J. Stroud, if you're trying to create the illusion that you would take a quarterback at 6,
that doesn't seem like the one you would bring in. You
wouldn't bring in Stroud, right?
No.
You bring in Levis or Richardson.
Here's what I think happened. What I think happens is this tells me a strong indication that Bryce Young's the first player that's going to be taken this draft. Bryce Young is quarterback 1 in the 2023 draft.
And in fact, the Vegas odds have recently shifted to that being the case.
So there's all types of smoke coming that that's the case. So what happens at 2? I said on Monday, second pick overall, this is where the draft really gets interesting because if you're Houston and you're this organization is desperate to try to build a core of guys, you'd think, okay, let's start with a quarterback. But if you're not sold on any of these quarterbacks, but you are sold on the quarterbacks next year, then what you can do at 2 is either trade out or you select the guy you think is the stud, like Will Anderson. Let's say they take Will Anderson. Pick number 3 is Arizona. Arizona's not interested in a quarterback. They're screwed with their own signing of Kyler Murray, and I'm sure they're regretting it.
Are they ever?
So they're looking to maybe trade out. Will Anderson's gone. Do they want to take a chance on red flag Jalen Carter, or do they want to draft Tyree Wilson at 3? What could they do? So we've talked about the Lions moving up to 3 to try to get Will Anderson if he's there, and that's a possible scenario. Under this scenario, Will Anderson's not there. But if the Lions never thought that C.J. Stroud was going to be there, and they identified C.J. Stroud as, okay, there's 3 players in this draft we'd be willing to move up for. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Will Anderson. 2 of them aren't there, but the third one is a possibility we can get him. Do we want to take a chance? Let's kick the tires, bring him in for an interview. That's the only scenario I see is because they think that maybe if they wanted to, they could move up to 3 to get him. I don't think there's any way in hell C.J. Stroud's there at 6. I think it's like a 0% chance where there might be a 4% chance that Will Anderson's there at 6.
All right, so as we workshop this idea, what did we hear earlier this week? That Arizona has taken calls from a half dozen teams.
Yes.
We all assume that the Lions would move up to Arizona's pick at 3 to get Will Anderson, right?
Yeah.
But what if Arizona wants to make this trade now? And the Lions are like, okay, we don't want to make the trade until we know that Will Anderson's on the board. Okay, it's either going to be Will Anderson or C.J. Stroud that's on the board at 3. And if Arizona wants to make the trade now, let's do our due diligence on C.J. Stroud, because if we love him, then we can pull the trigger on this trade, move up, and get a guy that we love, and let's do our – because what do we hear this week? They're bringing in Will Anderson, and they're bringing in C.J. Stroud. I think this is all a reaction to Arizona saying 6 teams have contacted them, and they don't want to wait till draft night to make the trade. They want to do it now, and the Lions are like, okay, we want Will Anderson, but let's do our homework on Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud. If we love them both, then that opens up the door for us making that trade. Is that what's going on here?
I think it's potential. Sure, I do. I think that the idea that all of a sudden that C.J. Stroud's available to the world at 3, where previously you didn't think that was possible, I think you have to look at it. kick the tires on. It doesn't mean that's we're going to do this. It means, okay, let's take a closer look because we do like the quarterback. But are we going to love him? We'll see.
Well,
I imagine this. I think if C.J. Stroud comes into town, he's going to blow you away with an interview. I think you watch his tape, he's going to blow you away with his ability. You watch him throw at Allen Park, he's going to blow you away. And you can't help but come away going, I really like this guy. But would that be more so than what you would like with Will Anderson? Because Will Anderson helps you right now.
Nope.
C.J. Stroud, you're banking on 3 years down the road?
Okay, so there's a couple things here, right? There's our speculation, which we have literally just put this together and solved the Da Vinci Code on what's going on here.
You're welcome.
Yes, what we think is going on.
Was it a cryptext? Was that what was it called?
What are you
the
talking
Da Vinci
about?
Code?
I don't know.
You referenced Da Vinci Code.
I did. I totally did, and I shouldn't have. Anyway, point being, that's what they might be doing. I guess the question is, should they? Like, should they be considering a trade up for C.J. Stroud? Because I'm going to guess that it's going to, the draft capital you have to give up justifiably would hurt a little bit. Like, it's going to be an expensive price. And the question is it worth giving up draft capital now for a quote-unquote quarterback of the future who probably isn't going to play next year?